Hey, good morning, guys. So, this is the earliest video I've ever woken up to do. Normally, I wake up about 5 a.m. One time, I was still awake at like 12:30, 1 o'clock. I wanted to update you guys, so I did. But this one here is definitely a little bit special for me. So I wanted to kind of share it with you. So I made it to Valparaiso, Indiana today, and tomorrow I'm heading up. I actually think I'm going to change my plans a little bit. And I think I'm going to take out of town route called 130. Head straight east to a town called Merrillville, and then up north. And I wanted to try to get to a town called Hammond, and more outside of Chicago, which kind of goes on an angle that way. It's a little too far for my legs, possibly. It's about 28, 29 miles. I don't think I can handle that, quite honestly. But we'll see. So right now I've targeted a town called Hobart. And the family I'm with tonight, Scott and Kelly, Seth and Emma, been great with helping me out with some ideas. They know I want to kind of get up to the city and share some things. They even suggested possibly taking a train in, which would defeat the purpose of my necessarily walking across the country. But their concern, which may be valid, is that there's a part where there's like a 6 or 8 lane, major metropolitan highway that I think I may have to cross or something. I mean, obviously there's other ways around it, but to get to the lake shore, which is kind of my destination at some point, I would have to do that. So I'm kicking around some ideas still. I did get the number or the address of a church that is kind of in a rougher neck of the woods that I'm hoping to stop by and say hello to. And I can't tell you how many people have told me, please don't go to Gary, please don't go to this state, please don't go to Chicago. I know there's a lot of unrest there now. I know there is, but again, I just feel like that's why I just want to go talk to some folks, just get their perspective. Why is it so? How has it gotten to this point? I may not, but we'll see. So I've got a few people I still need to call. I was waiting to hear about one thing in particular, and I heard that yesterday. And I got a few people that are reaching out and saying, hey, give me an idea when you're going to be in. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to give that idea. So I know it's Wednesday already. Is it Wednesday? Wednesday the 8th, right? So I planned on being up in Hammond today and in Chicago tomorrow, but I'm still kind of going to lay out my plans a little bit later about that. So just to give you an idea where I'm at today. So if we could talk about last night a little bit, and I'm sure I'm going to run long. I'm going to share some definite pictures with you guys later, and I hope I don't inundate you guys with some photos. There's not that many, but one of the funnier parts of last night was I usually take a picture of myself with folks, and I guess I don't know how to focus or whatever, but just before bed I looked at it and I started laughing. And Emma's a high school senior this year, and she got it. Scott and Kelly, like, no, just use it. I took a picture, and my giant bulbous head, it looked like there was a picture of their family on the wall, and I just put my face in front of it. My head this big, and everybody else's head was this big. It's laughable. Maybe if it wants me to share, I'll share it anyway. Who knows? I don't have an ego, but good Lord, that was funny. There's so much to share about this family, even how I came to kind of be with them. And it was a reminder of kind of my journey and what I'm on and how little people really know about it. So I told you guys yesterday how the night before my phone didn't have a lot of service, and yesterday morning I had a voicemail from Scott the day before that said, hey, I'm outside of your town a little bit, but if you need a place to stay, we'd love to have you. And I called him back just to simply say, hey, I appreciate the offer, it's really generous. And we started talking. He said, look, I'm not far from Valparaiso. I could pick you up and bring you back. And yeah, I wanted to meet these folks. When people reach out like that, again, I'm not driving this bus at this point. Something else is calling the shots, and I just felt, yeah, let's do it. So yesterday afternoon, Central Time, probably about 4:30, Scott came and got me, brought me back to his home, and I met his wife Kelly, and she's the one that kind of found me on Facebook and suggested that they do this, and maybe I find out why shortly. So on the drive back from Scott, he didn't really know a whole lot about the journey other than what little bit his wife had shared with him. And it's Kelly with an I, by the way. But I mentioned that I was looking to go out Route 66, and he said, well, you're not going to believe this. My family, we travel a lot, like we're kind of the Griswolds, which is another ironic thing that he mentioned to me, because I want to do a second book called I Am Clark Griswold, because I think he's the greatest television dad of all time. But so he's like, I can help you, kind of share with you about Route 66. I said, where do you want to end up? And I said, San Francisco and Lombard Street. He said, we just got back from there 2 weeks ago. So again, a lot to share with me. How ironic. So we got back to the house, and the family let me take a quick shower, put a load of wash in, and we had a really nice dinner. Thank you so much, Kelly, for preparing that. And we just started talking. Took a picture. Seth had to go meet with some friends, and the conversation just started. And like it has a few other times before. Look, guys, I'm going to lay back a little bit. I apologize. It is like only like 3 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, I guess I could see all my chins when I do that. So maybe I'll even hold it up today. So the conversation just started flowing. One of the things that was just phenomenal. So I'm taking a journey in 2018. I've got cell phones and 24-hour service stations and excuse me, all the amenities that a modern life could offer. And then Scott was kind of telling me some family history, and then he shared this with me and took a kind of like a little binder scrapbook out that's been made for this, what I'm about to tell you. So I don't think I have it wrong, but I may. So Scott's grandfather was offered a job in 1956. Right, let me make sure I say that right. 1956. Out in Sumatra. So he took his wife and 3 kids, and he basically went and lived out in the jungle for about 2 years. Because when you sign the contract, it's a 2-year contract. So if the 2 years are up, maybe I shouldn't have done a video at 3 o'clock in the morning. So when the contract was up, he gets a first-class ticket back to the States. And what does this man do? 1956. Sells that ticket, and I believe he heads over to another country, Singapore or another, one of those countries. Buys a 1956 station wagon, takes that station wagon and has it on a ferry over to India, and essentially takes his family from India and drives it up through France, through Paris, across the bridge into London, and ends his journey in London. 1956, mind you. And this isn't your own country and your own states and your own everything you're familiar with. That you see the map of the states behind me. Another ironic thing is I came down the stairs to go to sleep. I got this map over my head showing where I'm going. Kind of hard to sleep that way, going, I'm going to go here next and here next. Anyway, process that for a minute. 1956. No air conditioners, cars, no 24-hour service stations. I walked through parts of Ohio where it was 20 miles between anything. And I even questioned back there, what did people do about gas? And I know I run mine down to E, and I would run out of gas at least twice a month. I mean, I don't know what kind of gas stations they had where he was going, but there's pictures of family at the Taj Mahal and all sorts of landmarks. 1956, took his family and 3 kids. Think about that. Imagine here you are, your family's been in the jungle with you for 2 years. Hey, hon, I got this idea. How many of us have a spouse that would support us and go, come on, kids, listen to what we're doing today? I would probably be beat down by anybody I've been involved with. Are you out of your mind? I just spent 2 years in the jungle with you out of love, and you're going to make us go across the world in a car? Unfathomable. But the booklet, I got a copy. Just brilliantly amazing. People say I have courage for doing what I'm doing. Shoot, I'm looking on a phone telling me I got to go 20 miles, and there's people there. That's just crazy to me. So that was one of the really neat things that was there. Oh no, there's one thing I gotta find here. There it is. So we continued to talk, and the conversation flowed, and a lot of it, frankly, was telling. I'm a long-winded fella, and they weren't specifically asking, but things just tied into the journey. But one of the things that I mentioned earlier is that I remember I'm going to have to do is keep reminding people, what point the thumb means, what it means to me, how it can be interpreted. Um, Honestly, Scott had heard from his wife, and she didn't know. She kind of saw a Facebook posting and said, "This is kind of a neat thing. This guy's walking across the country," but not fully understanding the backstory, what it is I'm hoping to accomplish, sharing the point of thumb message. So I don't know how many of you out there even know about my YouTube videos. To go back and look at them on YouTube, you can subscribe and just punch in Point to Thumb Journey as a search, and all my videos will come up back to June when I started this, without having any stories to tell. Just tell who I am, me thanking some folks in my life. So I got to keep remembering to remind people of that, because as my followers grow, people don't know this stuff. So a lot of the night was talking about, some of the things I've done and seen, and then it would tie in, ironically, to so much of their life. And what was really cool was I shared some of my philosophies, some that people haven't even heard yet, because, the politically correct world may frown upon such things, or not even that. And I don't say anything that's so egregious, but unfortunately, people hear what they want to hear. They don't hear what I'm saying. They hear a topic. I mention guns, or I mention cats, or I mention, Chinese food, or some kind of, boom, if you like it, right away that they start to react. Again, point the thumb, pause, listen to what I'm saying, and then comment. But people want to comment the first thing that they say they want to react to. People react. So there was one thing that took place that was really special. There was so much more to share. Well, let me talk about the family a little bit. So Scott and Kelly were both graduates of Purdue University, so they're Boilermakers. Their son Seth and their daughter Emma, both brilliant kids. Seth is going for I want to say mechanical design or building design. He's looking forward to getting into the automotive industry and basically designing cars. Just to think that it's 20-year-old kid has this kind of mindset and not just future, what am I looking for? Focus was really amazing. Emma's just bright as heck and great sense of humor, and thank God she got the whole picture thing, because they were trying to get me to post it. God, it was funny. Anyway, luckily Seth came home about 10:30, right before I went to bed, and we were able to take a real picture, which I'll post. So the Boilermakers, they met back in college, I think, and live here in Watana. And Scott was looking to be, I think, a mechanical engineer, and took over a family business, kind of coatings and paint things. And not far from here, I walked right by his building on the way up to Valparaiso yesterday. One of the cool things is some guys have a man cave. Well, I stepped out on their porch deck yesterday. Scott's, you'll see, he's tall like I am. Probably sees me. I was probably 6'4", 6'5". So I'm out on the deck talking to my children, and I look up, and not a lot of people understand this unless you're tall, but the gutter, we can reach it, and up in the gutter, a lot of man caves, not most, a lot of man caves have this collection of beer cans from all over the world, or whatever they've drank or whatever. Well, all of a sudden, look up at the gutter, and there's different beer bottles up there. So as he finishes, he sets them up top. I thought that was really cool. I wanted to add mine to the collection. But just a great family, basically raised in this area their whole life. Neat story about Seth. I'm running out of time here, but basically, wasn't looking forward to going to school. I graduated high school, and it wasn't this thing. And his parents basically put their foot down and said, "Hey, you know what? You're going to go for 1 year to the local Purdue campus and put that in, and then we'll talk about what you decide." Well, he went and realized that college was nothing like high school. Actually loved it, embraced it, and just was blowing through it. So that was very cool. Another cool thing is that Scott went to a military prep school in high school, and people have this horror show vision of what military prep schools are. And look, I'm sure it's a little stricter, but he's like, no, it was one of the best educations I could have gotten. And I know I could have benefited from something like that because of my, something shiny, kind of distraction, lack of focus. And I even questioned about my son about that, but he doesn't want to hear that. Anyway, I'm wrapping up my first video. There's something else I want to share with you guys. I love you. Have a great, great day today, and I'll talk to you soon.